Makers la mette in mezzo, bella tiro, gol! Luka Modric ha segnato Luka, ecco il gol del maestro.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host Oli Fisher, joined once again by Anthony, the infallible Torgrud.
I like that one. That's a good one. I'm not tired because we're actually recording at noon my time. So instead of coffee, I have Diet Coke. So check that out, guys. Coca-Cola, if you want to sponsor us, let's go. That'd be nice.
Yeah, any sponsor be great at this stage, you know.
Honestly.
Yeah. We've got, I'd say it's a busy one, but we've got a couple of games to talk about. We're going to recap the Sassuolo game that saw us surrender top spot in the Serie A table. We've got to start the count again now. It was previously stopped. It is now resumed until a moment that we choose to stop it again. And we have got the Napoli semi-final in the Supercoppa out in Saudi Arabia to preview. So yeah, a couple of games to talk about this episode. Before we dive in, wanted to say thank you as always to our Substack founding members who are scrolling along the bottom there. And yeah, we're hoping to add a few more names to that. As a reminder, any new founding members that we get, I will be giving them a shout out and your name will be ever present across the bottom ticker there. And thank you for all the support. Over on the Substack, you can find content such as the most recent pub chat that Lorenzo and Stefano recorded, a bit of a deep dive into Santi Jimenez and basically where is he? Nobody seems to know what's going on with him. Look, when he first self-diagnosed his ankle injury, it seems with that Instagram post, ESPN Mexico came out and said he's looking at 5 weeks out. And then Matteo Moretto was like, nah, he could be back for the derby. Well, he's still not back yet. And this has led to some suspicions from some fans. I'm not saying I hold this viewpoint, that there might be something a bit more to it than just a simple bit of ankle discomfort. And then maybe he's been frozen out. But either way, Milan are left without a striker in a decisive point in the season. And with the attack already looking pretty thin, it's just not an ideal situation. Stefano also recorded the instant reaction after the Sassuolo game. So if you wanted a bit of a raw take on how that particular game went down, then yeah, go there. He had a bit of a rant about a couple of things that we're going to speak about as well, including a disallowed goal. The most recent bonus podcast that me and you did late last week was a rumour mill review where we went through some of the targets that have been linked in view of the January transfer window and some in view of next summer too, giving a thumbs up or down for each of those potential deals and if they would help bolster the squad. You got the newsletter there, one-man show about Pulisic's performance against Torino. And in that, you've got the bulletin with all the latest news. And Isaac's most recent bonus article was a bit of a background story on that sponsorship agreement between Milan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. I remember when that news first broke, everybody was like, what? Yeah. DRC? Why are they sponsoring the back of the training shirt? And people just wondering what the hell that's all about. And did a bit of digging into that particular deal, and it turns out that there was something pre-agreed that then got reneged on, and it actually was going to go to court. It's a really good job that Isaac's done on
I actually read it.
Yeah, there you go. What did you think?
No comment.
Probably best to stay away from some of the areas of corruption and whatnot when it comes to that particular agreement. But go and read it. Go read it. That's what I'll say. As a reminder, you can try a week for free. See what you like. We've got plenty going out over the festive period, and if not, it's €5/$dollars per month, or you can do 50 for the year. So yeah, okay, let's go. Sassuolo rhymes with problemo. And
kind of, close enough.
Kind of,
yeah.
Ends with O, right?
Morning kickoff time or noon kickoff, whatever time you guys are at. Everyone knows this was the unideal time against the unideal team. The team that had Allegri sacked the first time, and there was about 10 minutes where I was thinking, you know what, fuck it, do it again. I joke, but yeah, didn't love the substitutions. We'll get to that. Look, they are Milan's bogey team. I don't know why. We thought we got rid of them last year when they finally were relegated, and weren't in Serie A last year. And then, of course, paired up in the cup. It didn't matter. We put like 4 past them then.
6-1.
6-1, even better. We put a lot past them. I thought, yeah, maybe we're finally over that. well, the came right up, gave us trouble, and here we go again, right? So,
yeah. Yeah, this one, as you said, it had all of the ingredients for being a typical disappointing Milan home game. We've seen this time and time again. It's not something that's restricted to this season. It just seems to be, early kickoffs bring out the worst in us. A certain type of opponent we seem to be struggling with this season too. But again, that's nothing new. And also this idea that we play before the teams that we are sort of in and around the top spots with. So we played before Napoli, who went and lost to Udinese, and we played before Inter, who won at Genoa to go top, and Roma played tonight against Como. So once again, when we've had the chance to put the pressure on these teams by getting 3 points on the board and securing top spot for Christmas, which is what we could have done, we have not done that. We have dropped points, and yeah, it's a very, very disappointing one. Start with the starting lineup. I don't think there's an awful lot really that I would have changed about this. In fact, there's nothing. I think this was the team, probably.
Yeah, I don't think there was a whole lot that you even could have changed if you wanted to.
Exactly.
When you look at the bench, I think we had a total of 16 outfield players called up for the full team, including the 11 on the pitch, or I guess the 10 outfield on the pitch. That doesn't leave you with much. I mean, it basically guarantees your substitutions. I know I said I didn't really like them, but they didn't really have many options, right? But
I mean, the bench, if I read down the bench,
that is wrong.
What's that?
That is the wrong lineup. Loftus-Cheek started.
Oh yeah, I don't know why that's in the folder.
Doomy's fired. So
getting fired. I don't know where it is, the real one. We got it right when we tweeted it out, but it seems to have gone. But anyway, that was the lineup with Loftus-Cheek instead of Ricci, which I didn't really hate, to be honest. And I actually thought Loftus-Cheek had a decent game.
Yeah, same.
So, the substitutions were, you got a couple of goalkeepers there in Pitarella and Pietro Terracciano. You've got Odogu, Kone De Vinter, Zakaria Takame, Pervis Stupinian, Adon Jashari, Samuel Ricci. There's just, you can't change anything in the attacking areas. We are so thin at the moment. We knew it's, as you say, obligatory choices, and I think that makes us easier to prepare against, prepare for, if you're, in Sassuolo camp, because there's not an awful lot we can do to shuffle the deck. And there was an interesting article that went out this morning from Corriere dello Sport. It was Franco Ordini, and he said Allegri might have been looking enviously at Sassuolo's bench because they were actually able to bring on difference makers. Armand Loriente nearly won them the game on his own, and we didn't have a single forward to put out there on the pitch. I've done this to death now for weeks and weeks about how the summer window left us high and dry. You cannot have, even with only the league to focus on, but it's still 3 competitions with the Super Cup and the Coppa Italia, which we got dumped out of because we couldn't rotate effectively. It's not enough players, and we are realising this now week by week, because you've always got to legislate for injuries because they happen throughout the course of the season. And grim bench.
Yeah, it's interesting because they obviously have dedicated their entire lives to the sport, right? They being trainers, coaching staff, management, and we all saw this coming. Except they said we'll be fine. We don't need more players. Like, everyone knew, hey, the fire sale is great when you're removing the dead weight, but we got to keep some, right? Like, we need substitutions. We said it. I said it a bunch of the summer. Don't let go of Okafor. We need another person, especially in attack. There was even a point when I was like, okay, maybe we keep Chukwueze as well. Like, why are we loaning out Camarda? Like, all these things where everyone, you, me, Twitter, the listeners, I know our comment section was backing it as well, but everyone's like, hey, it's great we're getting rid of deadweight, but we're selling too many people. And we start the season 19 outfield players. I believe only 22 if you include goalkeepers, right? I guess
the goalkeeper one always kind of fluctuates depending on, Torriani's with the Futuro, and
that's the issue. We always call up one of them and then the other. So it's like, really, it's 21 players total in the senior squad, right? And then that's been depleted because, shock and awe, multiple injuries. Leao and Pulisic are starting strikers. the only two, apparently, neither of them natural strikers, have played one game together because one gets healed, the other gets injured the same game. It's like they just keep switching.
Some kind of curse,
and then we have two backup strikers, both on 0 league goals. Like you said, Santiago, he's might as well change his name to Carmen Sandiego because can't find him. He's gone. So I don't know what's going on there, man. Like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. Thank you. I'm proud of that one.
No, it was really good. Yeah. Yeah, well said. And look, it all kind of manifested in sort of what we saw from the performance. I know we're going to come on to the substitutes, which I think everybody kind of unanimously disagreed with. But then at the same time, Allegri came out and said that they were tactical and things like that. But I do wonder if that's just to take sort of people out of the firing line and stuff. But yeah, this game started terribly. The goal that we conceded from Ismail Kone after, it was in the 13th minute.
Yeah.
It was not a good one. Well, tell a lie, both of Sassuolo's goals were actually objectively quite good. I don't think that there are many newly promoted teams who could just cut through like that. Mm-hmm. Problem is, the newly promoted teams have scored goals against us in pairs so far this season. We've conceded 2 against Cremonese, 2 against Pisa, and now 2 in this one. So that is a bit of a running theme. But these goals were really, really good goals. The first one is, I think you can attribute more to our errors. I'm just kind of watching it back here, and there is a lot of ball watching going on. I think Loftus-Cheek doesn't follow Kone's run, but the through ball to him is pretty good. He picks it up, and then I think there's a question mark about Matteo Gabbia, but Gabbia is on another man, and then it kind of like gets handed over to him, skips past him, and lifts it over Maignan from a relatively narrow angle. Maybe a question mark about whether he could have done more from there, but it was just a nice dinked finish. And I have to be honest, it was like I'm getting a bit sick of us having to, need something to wake up. It kind of happened at Torino as well, but I did kind of sit back afterwards and think, yeah, fair enough, that's a nice goal.
Yeah, it was one of those moments like prior to the game, you and I talked in the chat about, the direction of the pitch that Sassuolo picked and the sun that was shining in their eyes. We said, probably an early goal for us. Wrong. It was all them. But the momentum of the match started us. We were pushing the first 10 minutes. And then they had one counter, one shot, one goal. I immediately blamed Gabbia because his defending was poor on it. You watch it back, you're saying there's others. I believe you. I haven't watched it back. So
I think Gabbia's most... It's tough. I think it's, the blame needs to be shared out for this one. If it starts from a premise of you don't track your runner from midfield, that's a problem. And I think that's a repeated theme for us.
The only reason I pointed out Gabbia is because when the ball is struck, that's who you see is trying to get in front. But it's really weak defending, and you're saying he was on a different man. I believe you. I didn't see it. And like I said, I didn't go back to watch it, thankfully. But... it's not good. Everyone can do better. No. Mike could even do better. Does it go between his legs or under his arm or?
No, it goes over his shoulder kind of thing. He's going down, I think, expecting a low shot, but he sort of outside of the boot just sort of loops it over. I don't know. It just looked weak to concede from there. You expect if he's going to concede from a narrow angle, which Maignan has been beaten at his near post quite a bit, you expect it to be kind of a Lookman one where he lashes it into the top corner and you're like, there's not any goalkeeper in the world saving that. But with this one, it felt like a bit of a soft dinked finish. But the catastrophe plays out ahead of him, ultimately. It was an avoidable goal to concede. And I totally agree about Gabbia being the poster boy for that goal, because even though he is on another man, Kone gets passed over to him and he doesn't do enough. Although arguably he does the right thing showing him to the byline, but the problem is that, then he actually just ended up being a decent shooting position. But as I say, it was a nice little executed give and go and a nice finish. So I was willing to speak about that in an entirely positive light, and then especially when we went 2-1 up. And then we end up, dropping points. So I just feel bitter about the entire thing, now, to be honest. But let's get to the good bit. Davide Bartesaghi, 19 years of age, academy product, spent last summer with a very uncertain future, about whether he'd be aggregated to the Futuro again, whether he might go out on loan to get some more senior minutes. We sign a new left-back in Pervis Estupiñán, so that door's kind of close to the starting spot. But then Estupiñán gets injured. Bartesaghi takes the spot, puts in some good performances, starts growing in consistency. and all of a sudden he's now the starter. And he was just sort of waiting, I think, for that moment in the spotlight, and he got two. And it was two lovely, lovely goals to put us ahead, scoring either side of half-time. I was just buzzing for him. You could see how much it meant for him. I thought his attitude was spot on for the first one, where like he had a bit of a celebration, but ultimately ran back to the halfway line knowing, we've got to go and win this one. And then the second one was a gorgeous finish. And dare I say, it's all a bit Teo-esque.
Yes. I think I even put that in the chat, like Teo who or who needs Teo or something along those lines. So happy for this guy. I mean, really, since his first performance for us this year, I've thought, wow, this kid's good. He had a shaky moment in his debut, and fair enough, right? He's like you said, 19, senior debut for the club he's been at since he was a kid. He's only got called up because of injury. He didn't know yet if he had actually earned the call up or not. And it was a little rough, but he stuck through it. And then each game he just grew into it, got better and better, to the point where one of the comment or questions that we read on this podcast was, when Estupinian is back, does he lose that spot? And at the time I said, no, he lost it because of injury, so let him come back and start. And that's what we did. And about 50 minutes into that game, yoink, Bartesaghi in, everything changed. Crossing's incredible. We scored a goal, and they just never looked back. I mean, he really has been the best player that we acquired this year, I would say, because I count him as a new signing. He wasn't actually being utilized prior. I don't think many people considered him as like a potential starter or even squad player going into this year. So to me, to use the old adage, like a new signing, that's how he feels. And he's done fantastic.
Absolutely.
So happy for his goal right before halftime, right after halftime to take the lead. And youngest defender to score in Serie A since Paolo Maldini.
For us, is that? I can't remember. There was two stats.
The whole league.
There were two stats that came out about him. I'll just read them out because I know we tweeted them. So 19 years, 350 days old. He turns 20 before the end of the calendar year. Bartesaghi is the youngest Italian defender to score for Milan in Serie A since Maldini, who was 19 years and 247 days. That was back in 1988. And he became the youngest Milan player to score a brace in Serie A since Stefan El-Shaarawy back in September 2012. And he was only 15 days younger. So there you go, a couple of accolades. And they were, they were almost strikers' finishes, dare I say, or at least striker movement for the first goal. And I think it was a bit strange how it all came about, the equalising goal, because we're sort of building down the right side of the box, and you can see bodies in there. But as Ruben Loftus-Cheek winds his right foot up to what I think he's going to shoot, he's aiming for the far post here. He's going to try and effort on goal. And it just kind of ends up sliding through at pace, and it just rolls across nearly the edge of the 6-yard box, basically. It's almost like the camera couldn't pan quick enough to who was arriving. And then Bartesaghi swoops in at the far post. And by the time he gets to the ball, he's almost got an unguarded net to shoot into because the keeper can't get across quick enough.
I'm not going to take anything away from Bartesaghi, but it almost was like it was unintentional. Like it looks as if it wasn't a shot from Ruben, but it definitely wasn't a pass for Bartesaghi, right? Like there were, I don't remember who was there, but there were two people in front of him who I think it was geared towards. And when he missed, the Sassuolo defender who was on the other side of him, like just stopped and assumed, oh, it's just going out. And then, he swooped in and like I said, strikers finish with the instinct to get there. And, that's all you need. It doesn't matter if the defender shut off. You still got to do your job, right? So did that. And the second one, when I watched it the first time, I thought for sure he was going to cross it. So it caught me off guard. And so he took a near post shot, which very ballsy to do, given the situation, 1-1. He just scored the equalizers, very mature to like grab the ball and run to the net or run in the midfield, whatever. Center, Jesus Christ, why was that so difficult? It's not even early. I couldn't think of it. But it was like the opposite of what you would expect in that situation, right? You think, okay, he's going to cross it in and hope that Pulisic or Nkunku get there. Instead, he's like, I'm going to just take this one. And he took it. And he got it, and I think it caught their goalkeeper off guard, Muric.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
He
he
did.
wasn't
It
expecting
definitely
it.
did. He spotted an opening, and I think that's the Teo-esque finish, really, because Teo did that a couple of times where he snuck it in at the near post. I remember one away against Genoa, and then I think he's got a winner against Napoli once when we wore that fourth kit where Leao played it ball round the corner and he just sort of dinked it in at the near post. It was like that, as you say. It's not the finish that you would expect, and it was like a really cultured finish. Normally, you get full back, wing back, leather in it, put their foot through it. But yeah, brilliant. Just a gorgeous finish and a mature finish, well beyond his years, and not the kind of finish you'd expect from a fullback, as I say. So chuffed for him, and that should have been really the. Keep wanting to call it like a dream day for him, but it wasn't because we didn't see it out and get the 3 points. But at least he got those dream couple of moments. And yeah, the celebration in front of the fans and everything like that. You could see how much it meant to the team because at that point they were allowed to celebrate fully because it wasn't an equalising goal; it was a goal to put us ahead. And yeah, what a moment, buzzing for him. It's like the symbol of his rise, really, to where he is right now. And that should have been the spark that saw us on our way to 3 points to stay top of the table. And then we've got this controversial incident to talk about.
Before we talk about that, I do think there's something else that happened that is even more critical, in my opinion, because ultimately we were winning. We could have seen the game out, right? But play stopped. Gabbia injured. Looked like he did his knee with no contact, which always is scary. And he did, but came out today that he just hyperextended, so that's good. He should be back soon. Still terrifying, and he did play on for a little bit afterwards, but he was down for like 10 minutes. And I think that substitution for Coney de Winter, someone I've put a lot of faith behind, unfortunately, it's just not been correct. And I think that was the beginning of the end for this one because I blame him a lot for the second goal. We'll get to it after we do the controversy here, but yeah, I think that was actually what started the downfall for us.
Yeah, you never want to have to change the defensive line, especially when our first choice trio is so set in stone now. And you're taking out the middle part of that. And we know Gabbia's been outstanding this season. As you say, a little bit shaky on the first goal, maybe, but just generally, we'd recovered the game into a position that we could manage at that point. The last thing you want to have to do is to make a major defensive change. When that happened, when his foot plants and it almost looks like his knee goes through with it, like it did look like a pop type thing. And you're instantly thinking, oh shit, ligaments or meniscus or some pretty bad damage, basically. And yeah, as you say, thankfully the scans have ruled out anything too severe. But trying to play on and then going back down again, I'm thinking, oh no. It reminded me of when I did mine. Not that it's the same level,
high level,
enough. No, but genuinely that was the same thing. Tried to carry on, and then the pain, you sort of get the adrenaline wears off a little bit, and then you get to the like, oh no, I actually better go off here. So I'm thinking, oh no, we're going to be looking at a few weeks out here. And thankfully, touch wood, it doesn't seem to be that way. Then on comes Coney de Winter. But the game should have been dead and buried by this point because Christian Pulisic scores a goal to make it 3-1. He scores what the league have officially said was a goal that was fair and that should not have been disallowed. So here's the little still that we've got. Sorry if you're listening, but it's on the Aurori Arbitrali Twitter account. I'm sure you've seen it. It's kind of gone viral at the moment. So as this cross comes in over to the far side, it's actually circled in red there. You've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who is kind of, I don't know, you might say he's got a couple of hands on the back of his man there, but it's actually Pavlovic that wins the header, and it's looping in towards the far corner, and it's tipped straight into the path of Pulisic, who buries it into an empty net, 3-1. Oh no, goal's been disallowed straight away. We're all thinking Pulisic must have been offside. That's all it could have been, right? Because there would seem nothing strange about what led up to that. And then it emerges that it is not because of an offside. It is because of that contact at the far post between Loftus-Cheek and his man, which the referee deemed to be a push or using both hands to... I mean, he doesn't even get on his shoulders or anything. Like, he stays rooted to the ground pretty much. Like, I just don't understand what he's seen here. I really do not.
Question.
Yeah.
Is the ball already been kicked in this still? Because Ruben is technically offside right there.
The ball's been kicked. Yeah, the ball has been
Okay.
kicked by this point. Yeah, because you see in the top frame, the players are watching it as it's about to be headed.
You're right. Okay.
So I think it might just be covered by the red ring almost. But you can also see in the final frame there, Pavlovic about to head it. But yeah, the ball has been crossed and he's not offside.
Okay.
But I know what you mean because in that circle frame he is offside. And yeah, here's a better indication.
Yeah, so he's not off at all.
No.
No,
and none on Pulisic either, because they're looking at was he offside from the first phase of play, which was the cross from, I believe that's Salamakers, and then was he offside from the second phase, which is the Pavlovic header, and that was cleared. So it was definitely 100% for a foul. Holy shit! What
the fact there was no VAR review or anything? I mean, they immediately went to play, and I think because it was so strange, so confusing, so wildly like no one could think of what it is, that there wasn't time for our players to protest and say, what are you calling it back for? I think they just kind of stood there and froze like, what? And then the play continued and then they just moved on. But I think it's odd. I feel like a VAR review is supposed to happen anytime the ball goes in the back of the net, and they called it off or waved it off, whatever, after it went in, not prior. They didn't call the foul before Pulisic touched the ball, which would have been a different story. They called it after he was celebrating, after we pulled it out of the net. So 100%, this is an error. This is one of the most egregious, worst ones I've seen. There's no excuse for this, right? It's horrible. The amount of a push on this, and I don't even think these pictures do it justice. You know, when we pull this one back up, like, it looks as if you know what happened here. Okay, Loftus-Cheek pushed him. No, there was legitimately no push. I beg or implore everyone to go find the video online, watch it. You will see that there's no forward motion from Ruben Loftus-Cheek's hands. They're just literally on him, and then he lifts them up from frame 2 to frame 3. All he does is takes his hand and lifts them up, and whoever that is, number 5, just drops. It's a flop. It's the biggest flop ever. If anything, it should be a yellow card for simulation to him, and the goal should stand. I'd be happy with just the goal, but if we want to be 100% correct on this, it's simulation. It's a flop. It's designed to trick the referee, and which it did. Now, how it tricked the VAR chief, I have no idea. How this wasn't reviewed, they should have said, "Hold on, we should look at this. Like there needs to be a review. The goal went in." But there wasn't any of that, and that doesn't make any sense to me. That's the part that I'm very confused about. And even after play restarted, you would think that there'd be some sort of review where they go, "Hey, you got this one wrong," and maybe it did happen, but another goal was called offside or called off rightly. He was offside. But you just think we need something here. We need to make a call of some sort. It didn't come.
Fali Kande calling him out. Disgusting dive. Not to be ashamed.
That's the player's
That's the defender. Yeah. I just had to name check in there. Fully agree with everything you've said there. It's just, I wondered if the players didn't protest, because that's something I noticed as well. They all seemed to be a bit dumbstruck that it had been so quickly called off. And then, play kind of resumes fairly quickly without the check. But I just wondered if they all presumed that it was an offside and not a foul, because if they find out that it's because of a foul given against Loftus-Cheek, they're going mental, because that is just something that happens every single time ball comes into the box. As you say, he's bought the contact, and look, I know what's coming here, right? It's that Sassuolo. What rival fans are saying is that Sassuolo also could have had a penalty at the end for a bit of a clumsy foul by Pavlovic down by the right touchline, I think it was. I can't remember who it was on. I think it was on the striker who came on, number 90. I can't remember if it was Luca Moro. But the point is that the way the game played out, if this goal stands as it should have done, we're 3-1 up. And we're in a completely different situation. Yes, I know that for the majority of the season, when we've been in a winning position, we've decided to invite pressure. And I'm sure Sassuolo still would have had a couple of chances towards the end of the game or whatever. But when this error sees a 2-goal lead go up in smoke, it's not good, But do you know what the worst thing is? I can't find myself getting too fired up about it because I'm kind of fed up of talking about officials now and us being on the wrong end of errors. It shouldn't be that way. We should be the ones going to bat for the club and highlighting all of the injustices and stuff like that. But there's also a part of me that's like, if you know that you can get a bad decision at any time, put the game to bed.
Yeah. And that's the main thing that bothers me with the substitutions, because ultimately at this point, goal or no goal, we are up, right? And I think that's also why they didn't protest. Okay, they saw something, whatever, we're still winning. That was the mentality. And they were pushing. Mm-hmm. We have had the entirety of the momentum outside of the one moment that Sassuolo scored their goal. From the start of the match up to this point in the 62nd minute, they probably said, all right, whatever. Maybe we get a third one. We're still winning even without. And then we push, and we do get what basically should be a fourth, but it's called off. I believe that one was called off for offside, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think it was. I think they showed it to us.
It was.
Said, okay. Oh, it was Rabiot. Yes. So it's actually the exact same goal, but from the opposite end. And Rabiot is just Pulisic in this case, and he's a little bit more forward. He's obviously offside, so rightly called off. Is the ball going in without the touch? Maybe it might be going wide. It might go just slight wide, and then with the rotation, hit the post and go in. I don't know. But
yeah,
he's offside. It's the right call. It is what it is. At this moment, we should be thinking, okay, we've scored 4 times. We're still only up 2-1. We can get a third and really put this to bed. Instead, we take off the league top goal scorer, Christian Pulisic, who may not be at 100%, did just come back but he had the flu game, scored 2 against Torino to come back. We take him off for Samuel. Jesus, I'm struggling. Ricci. Take him off for Ricci. And that's odd to me. Now, Nkunku did have an assist here, right? So he is not having a terrible game. I believe he even had a shot that was saved or went wide. Or
he had a decent effort.
It was not his worst game by any means.
No, yeah.
But for me, I know that Pulisic just scored a goal, right? Whether they know that it was rightly or wrongly called off or not, we saw him do it. We know who he is. We know he's the league top goal scorer. We know Nkunku has 0 goals. So if you have to take one of them off, I take off the guy with 0 goals and 1 assist in this game versus the guy with 7 league goals, multiple assists, and just none in this game because one was called off. That's what I would do if you have to make that substitution. Personally, I don't think you have to make any substitution at this point. The only substitution you had to make was Gavia coming off because he was hurt. That makes sense. Yeah. Knowing that we don't have the depth, I think you push this as long as you can, or you do a like for like with Ricci for Loftus-Cheek, Ricci for Rabiot, Modric, one of the guys in the midfield. I don't necessarily love it, but that's what I would do. You take him off, knowing that you have Loriente, who just came on in the 60th minute. So you have still 20 minutes left because this was the 73rd minute minimum of Loriente, a guy who scored against us countless times. A guy who we know is a threat. He's very fast. He's very quick on his feet, good dribbling, great shot on him. We know that this is their best player. I don't know why he was on the bench to start with, but we know he's playing right now, and we have 20 more minutes. After this goal, we decided to invite pressure. As soon as we took Pulisic off, it was sit back and let's defend. Mm-hmm. That works when you have your starting center backs in, not when you take off the best one for your shakiest, the guy who doesn't make it. You have 4 center backs. You start 3 every game. You took off the first name on the team sheet and put on the guy who wasn't good enough to be in the 75% of your center backs that are starting every match. So that's when I go, hey, you got this one wrong. You should not be sitting back inviting pressure with this guy for as long as we are.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did. And sure enough, he's pinging the ball around and makes De Winter look like a rookie and scores a great goal.
It was a bloody good goal. Yeah, it just was a genuinely nice goal. I feel like the warning sign had been there, and the warning signs were afterwards. It was just a little bit too easy. There seemed to be way too much space between the lines, without wanting to try get overly tactical in the sort of chaos that comes in the last 20 minutes of a game when a team needs a goal. But yeah, they throw on those fresh legs, and it just seemed to me that Loriente was getting a lot of joy on the left corner of the box there. Can you do something with that? Can you bring someone back from the midfield, to task them and shadow them? Well, the goal that we conceded earlier in the game suggests that we don't trap runners from midfield anyway. He kind of made Tomori look a bit daft, to be honest, at certain parts. I don't think that I don't think anybody had their best game really in from a defensive attention point of view. But there was part of me that while this was happening, obviously the goal goes in. It's a really nice finish after a nice sort of give and go down that left side. And then there's also that one where he beats his man and then he thumps it from the edge of the box. That came after a bad giveaway as well. We were quite sloppy in terms of seeing this game out, controlling possession in our own half. We're still not at that point yet with our game management, which is worrying against newly promoted teams. But yeah, then he hits the base of the post with that shot that's Maignan almost rooted. It kind of comes back and hits him. That could go anywhere. We could be looking at 3-2 defeat here, which would have been absolutely unacceptable given the circumstances that we found ourselves in. I just remember thinking, how has someone not signed this guy yet? How has he ended up playing at Sassuolo for what is it, about 4 or 5 years now? He just looks great to me. I think we could really... He's sort of like everything that we hoped Nkunku would be, in terms of the mold of player. He just looks fantastic. He's a live wire. I think he only came off the bench because he's just come back from an injury and he's not 100%. Because otherwise, he's in there. He's hurt us before, as you pointed out. So yeah, it was 2-2. Do you know what happened while this was going on as well? I got a phone call. I was expecting a pretty important phone call. So I had to mute the TV, answer the phone, and I was on the phone for around about 1 minute. And during that 1 minute, the goal went in, and I audibly sighed on the phone call. I was like, because I just saw it all playing out there, and yeah. That's sort of it. I didn't even hear the reaction to it because I had to mute the TV, and that's it really. We were a bit shell shocked by that, I think. And as said, they probably had the better chances to go on and nick it 3-2. But we didn't have anything more to throw out there really. In terms of game changing substitutions, trying to get that third goal. We tried a little bit. There were moments, but. Yeah, you go behind and then you find yourself 2-1 up with your left wing back scoring 2 goals. You just got to find a way to see that one out, and again, did not.
And that's the part that bothers me because, like you said, we had a moment after, but that was it. It was like one moment, right? And when you look at the subs, at this point, for me, knowing okay, we have no more attackers. The only other midfielder we have is Jashari, who, all right. Maybe he could do something. You put him on there for Modric, I guess, because you want to keep Loftus-Cheek. He's attacking. Ricci just came on. But then you're thinking, is Modric the guy I want to take off right now in a must-win situation? That's probably the only guy you don't. So I get not bringing on Jashari. But then, it wasn't his best game. But hey, whatever.
Yeah.
It's Luka Modric. I'm not going to say.
I agree. Yeah. Set pieces as well and things like that. Yeah.
But then you look at who he did bring on. It's like, okay, Estupiñán, for the guy who's on a hat trick right now, didn't look exhausted. He's 19. His legs will be fresh much longer than anyone else. And Estupiñán doesn't have the best track record with us. That's why he lost that starting spot that he was given when he was brought in at the start of the year. I keep Bartesaghi on for the full 90 because you brought Estupiñán in the 90th. You might as well just give Bartesaghi the last 5 or 6 minutes of extra time. And then the other change was at the comment for Salamakers. And look, Salamakers didn't have a good game. But we know he's one of our very, very few attacking options. And he's still out there. And now we're chasing the game. Now we need a goal. I leave him on there. Yeah, Atakame has 1 goal from crazy deep. We'll get to this later because the referee, but that goal shouldn't have stood. we had offside players. We got lucky with that after getting unlucky with a foul not called on Gabia, which was way more egregious than the foul that was called on Ruben Loftus-Cheek for a push.
Yeah.
It is what it is. That's the referee from that Pisa match is going to be Napoli, so we'll talk about that. But yeah, I don't think you make either of those substitutions. I think you keep Salamakers and you keep Bartesaghi on. You tell him to get forward. You even push Pavlovic, because we're the early game. The assumption should be that Udinese is not going to win against Napoli, and definitely Genoa won't beat Inter. So you should go all out. And for me, I'd rather go forward with even Pavlovic and just have two center backs and have the two wing backs up top, Pavlovic making his runs, go for the win and try our best and then maybe lose this game versus play it safe and hold out a draw that we know is still going to forfeit top of the table, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you lose, then we're 1 more point dropped against Inter versus 2 points. Okay, 3, whatever. It's still 1 game against Napoli. Nothing happens. Obviously, we didn't know it at the time, but I don't know. To me, I think you go for it, knowing the situation, knowing we could be first place at Christmas time. I think you got to go for it, and you don't make those subs, and you just tell everyone to get forward and hope for the best.
I do wonder if that unbeaten league run is starting to become more of a burden than, maybe there was part of do you know what? No, I'm overthinking it there. I just think that it's genuinely we do not have the depth to be able to effectively, make the right changes and play situationally. I just think we're really struggling on that front. We are what you see from us. Like there's just not enough players available to change things, unfortunately. And Allegri is actually working a miracle with what he's got. But yeah, I just wonder if that unbeaten league run could become something that's subconsciously in the minds of the players. They want to keep that going. So when you have that situation where it's like, they're going to defend. They didn't. That's the thing as well. Maybe it was partly because Sassuolo was still showing plenty at the other end that they could nick the 3 points, that we didn't go all out. But if they were to retreat deep and camp in their own box or whatever, then I think there are tricks that you can do. I would even say, put Pavlovic up front or something just to create chaos. But look, it wasn't to be. A frustrating game, as it's 2 points out of 9 taken from the 3 home games against the newly promoted teams. It's not good enough. 2 goals conceded in each of those games. We talk about how leagues are won and lost. We've had a fantastic record against the teams around us this season, which is great. You've got to win those 6 pointers, but that only serves to give you an advantage if you're still taking the same amount of points from the games against lesser teams, and we're just not doing that. Inter have been far better. The Inter basically lost every big game this season, and yet because they're hoovering up points against the teams in the bottom half of the table, they're going to be top at Christmas, and that's just the way it is. Top and flop. So top is the easiest one of the season probably so far. Actually, Barry maybe Pulisic at Torino, but
it's Bartesaghi, and good for him. So happy to see it. Happy to say it.
Flop, a little bit more difficult. I think there was a sea of 5 and 5.5 out of 10 performances. This was reflected in the papers as well. But I think, I think I might have to go with. I wonder who. I'm trying to think who Isaac might have put for this one.
I'm sure it'd be something interesting. He probably says Mike could have done better. It's his fault on the goals or something.
Yeah. I'm going to have to give it to Gabia, I think.
It feels harsh because of the knee injury, but the mistake was before the knee injury. I'm going to pick Valerio Crezzini, the referee.
Well done. Guy. Good pick.
Yeah. I hope he has a horrible Christmas.
I saw something today as well that the AIA, whatever, have not decided to give him any form of punishment, like a demotion or whatever, which is an interesting one because it's an on-field mistake that he made. And maybe the VAR kind of sold him down the river a little bit, and they should help out a young referee in that circumstance. But I think what they were saying is that it wasn't a reviewable play because there was no new evidence that they could bring him to be like, no, you got this wrong, you didn't see this. The implication is you saw it perfectly and he judged it to be a foul. So, don't agree with it, but We move on.
The other thing I want to point out, just call someone out, is the entire Paramount/CBS crew. They never once mentioned it. They talked about the game at length and all the faults of Allegri and the injuries and the players and the depth and not doing enough, but they never once mentioned the goal situation. In fact, they mentioned the possible penalty that he missed against us. And I don't know. I'm not saying they have to be biased towards Milan or even that they are being biased towards Sassuolo, but you should cover all things. And I know covering controversy makes the league look bad, and I think that their idea is that if they just ignore it, then they're doing a better job promoting it. But everyone saw it, so mention that stuff. Keep them accountable.
Yeah.
You see it with the Premier League crews. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Right, let's move on then and do Napoli in the Supercoppa. We've got a trophy to go and defend out in Saudi Arabia. It was January January this year. So we're defending it in the same year that we won it. Obviously, last time it was Sergio Conceição's first 2 games in charge after taking over from Paulo Fonseca. We beat Juventus and we beat Inter in the final then to lift our 50th trophy as a club. This time our opponents are Napoli in the semi-final, and then the other semi-final is Bologna versus Inter. So we've got this on Thursday the 18th, and then the final would be on the 22nd if we were to win the semi-final. The news really in terms of possible absentees for us, Fofana's back. He trained with the rest of the team today. Jimenez seems like a no.
I heard he's not traveling.
They don't know when he's going to come back. But Leao has gone there, and that's positive because I presume that means he could play some part. And I think it seems like Gabbia is going to be a last-minute decision on how he's doing. Because I suppose if he has hyperextended his knee, maybe there's a bit of swelling, or he said that he was still in a bit of discomfort as of today. And knee is a very sensitive area, of course, so you don't want to risk that. And it's not like although De Winter has not passed every test with flying colours by any means, it's not like we're having to throw a Dogu out there or anything. So I think they won't risk it. They'll just put De Winter in there and we'll try and get by and then see if he can play in the final. That would be my guess. And then it's just about whether we do any rotating in any other areas, really. I think Pulisic and Nkunku are going to start up front mostly out of necessity. I think your wing backs are staying the same. I think Rabiot and Modric are probably starting again because we know how important they are to Allegri. And then it's just if Fofana comes back in or not. And I would be tempted to put him in because I think where Napoli win games is in the midfield with the physicality and the energy that they have in there. And although we know Fofana is not the best at both ends, I think he could do an important job in the middle. So I'd be tempted to put him back in. I didn't think I'd say that, but
yeah, I think that's probably spot on. I'm not 100%. I don't want to say I want us to lose this game, but I don't know how much I care about us actually defending it.
Yeah.
I think if Gabi is hit or miss, I would not risk him for this because I don't think it matters as much. And that sounds so horrible to say because we've gone on multiple times about, you want to win every competition you're in, especially defend a trophy. But I mean, I think we're probably going to lose regardless. I believe Lukaku's back. McTominay might have gone down. I haven't checked if he is hurt, right? But didn't he get subbed off injured yesterday?
I think he came off, but there's nothing either way on him yet. So whether it's not been a scan yet, I don't know. But
De Bruyne is still out for them as well, right? And so I mean, honestly,
De Bruyne, Anguissa, Billy Gilmore, Alex Meret, and Juan Jesus are the 5 definite going to miss the game. It seems.
I mean, Napoli's for the taking right now, so we should go out and try and be able to beat them, even with Lukaku back. But Lukaku versus De Winter is a hilarious proposition.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that, but I will. So, I don't know. We should try to win. I just don't care if we lose, and it might even be better if we do.
Yeah, I sort of have the same kind of emotions as last season going into this, but for totally different reasons. So last season it was about all the chaos surrounding us. We'd just binned our manager, and it's like we can't realistically expect to win this trophy when we've got Juve and Inter to go through with a manager who's been with the team for like 2 nights. He basically showed up to the New Year's Eve party and they were all like, what the hell is going on, kind of thing. So the club are a mess at that particular moment. And yet we prevailed through that chaos and we won it. And, we got a bit of a buzz. It was the only high that we had that season, really, barring performances in the derby, I suppose, and winning at the Bernabeu. Strange that. Some really high peaks in there, but some very low troughs as well. And this time it's sort of like, yes, there are other things to focus on. I'm just looking at the state of the squad and thinking, I don't really know what we can do with this, to be honest. We'd have another game then, obviously the final 4 days later. How good shape would we be in for that? We have a game between Christmas and New Year. But then at the same time, I'm like, it's never going to be as easy as this again. We're already out of the Coppa Italia. We've only got the league to focus on, no European competition. So if you can, it's like the only other thing that we've got left to fight for. And all the other teams have many more games than what we do. So I don't think that workload management should be an excuse. It all just boils down to the squad. And if we will be able to make the right
I don't know
changes,
who I would rather us. I don't know who I'd rather us play in the final either, out of Inter Bologna. Like the obvious answer is Bologna. We beat both of them 1-0, so whoever, I guess it doesn't matter, right? But I don't know. The Bologna match was not easy for us, and we've lost a final to Bologna. I would hate to be the team that gives them their first 2 trophies or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, God, yeah. Let's do a prediction. I think that's all we can. Oh, I wanted to actually look at the last Napoli starting 11, the one that they fielded yesterday against Udinese, and obviously lost 1-0 away from home. Milinkovic-Savic in goal. Looks like he played a 3-4-3. Boykema, Rahmani, and Bongiorno as the 3 centre-backs. Di Lorenzo and Spinazzola wing backs, Elmas playing central midfield along with McTominay. So they are a little bit light in midfield despite having so many. Neres and Lang either side of Højlund. And as you said, Lukaku's going to come back in. We'll see, because of how much Conte loves Lukaku, it won't surprise me if he just goes straight back in. But I don't know. It'll be interesting, that 3-5-2 against a 3-4-3. Do you know what? I think we win. I think we win 1-0. And I think it's a pretty awful game.
My heart says 2-1. My brain says also 2-1, but a loss. So I think we lose. I would not be shocked if we beat them. Honestly, you're right about Fofana coming in. He wins the most balls in the midfield out of any player in the league, and that's why he keeps starting. The problem with him is he can't do anything else right. But Napoli, I watched their entire game yesterday. They looked awful. And they're missing everyone that matters in their midfield. I think they'll be there for the taking. So there's a good chance we win. But I'm still going loss. I don't know why. I just feel like tired legs or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Then you've got the Conte as a cup manager, generally not very good. Allegri is a good cup manager. Does that really matter across a 2-game, Final Four type thing? Probably not.
Does this go to extra time or straight to penalties?
I believe it goes straight to penalties. I think, anyway, which is... That's not a bad shout, actually. A 0-0 or a 1-1, and then it goes to penalties, and they just, roll the dice. It is what it is. But I can't say that it would ruin Christmas if we got knocked out, but then it's like, if we get through and we get to the final, then it's a bit of added pressure to go and win it, because in all likelihood we play Inter. I don't really want that just before Christmas. All right, let's do a couple of cues and then we shall wrap this up. I put a tweet out. I'm just seeing if we got anything on there before I go to Discord. So we got none on there. Keralista, assuming all our strikers are fit, should Milan shift to a 3-4-2-1, especially against teams lower in the table?
No. A 3-4-2-1 still so only gives us one option off the bench, even if everyone's fit. No, I'm good on that.
Yeah,
I see the thought process. I just don't. I don't think so.
I really don't understand all the people who are calling for a formation change at the moment. I keep seeing 4-3-3 put out there and things like that. I'd argue that having wing backs has been one of our biggest strengths this season. You want to move them further back. The three-man midfield remains a constant no matter what. But I think the three-man defence has been pretty good and is probably necessary to stop us shipping goals in bulk, at least in the big games. Then, as you say, we've got 4 forwards in the team. Maybe if you want to include Loftus-Cheek as a fifth, but then if you switch into a three-man attack, he doesn't play anywhere in that because he's not a winger and he's not a striker. He just about does a job playing off the as like a second striker. But we just don't have the bodies numerically to play with three up front. We just don't. Whether help comes from the January window, and in fact, I'll use this as a segue. We'll wait and see. But in order to play 3 up front, we need 5-6 forwards, I would say. And we just don't have that. And we're having usually a couple of them injured at the same time. So like if we were to play a 3-man attack at the moment, we wouldn't even have 3 natural forwards to put in it. So can't do it unless Belantien is our savior.
So yeah, here's the thing too. The only department that helps that formation, like it hurts the defense, obviously. Midfield stays the same. It helps the attack. But our problem is not the attack. We have the second most goals in the league. We have the player with the second most goals in the league in Christian Pulisic and the player with the 4th most goals in the league in Leao. And by the way, Pulisic should be joint top if that goal stood as it rightly should have. He could be even alone at the top if he scored the penalty against Juve. Like we've had opportunities. The problem is neither of them have played many games. They've missed a third of the season each. Both have only played 10 league games. Very few. Only one of those has been the same league game. So that tells you everything you need to know about injury. The problem is our 2 backups, which cost us a combined 80 million euros, are on 0. What we need is not a formation change to shoehorn in one of our big flops, big expensive flops. We need one of them to just score a fucking goal. That's it. Like if one of those guys starts scoring, even a goal every other game, we're in shape because they shouldn't be playing every game. They just have been, and they're not scoring. So it's all been on one person who is only playing a third of the season because they keep getting injured at the same time or at the opposite ends at the same time. That's the issue, not the formation. The goals are there. Look at the table. We had the second best attack in the league. It's literally just our 2 best players are not playing at the same time, and our 2 worst players are the alternative. So that's it.
Yeah, no, well said. I fully agree with all that. And look, if a player is going to arrive in the January window to fix everything in the attack, then it's definitely Nicholas Füllkrug, right? He's the answer to all of our problems, I believe. I'm a bit worried about this now because it started as like a garbage source rumor, Tuttosport, Corriere dello Sport and stuff. Then it's like, his agents offered him to us. Of course he has, because he's not getting a game for West Ham, and he wants out of West Ham, who are in a Premier League relegation battle. And then Matteo Moretto's like, no, they're accelerating and they're trying to get it wrapped up like ahead of January. Sky is saying the same. And it's like, I get it. It's low-hanging fruit and he is a target man. But he does not, aside from that, he answers nothing of what we need. He's been at West Ham for 18 months and scored 3 goals. He's only played 29 games because he's been riddled with injuries. He's in his 30s. I liked him when he was playing in the Bundesliga. I actually seen him score a brace live for Werder Bremen once, which is an interesting bit of trivia. But since then, it's just been downhill from him. As I say, he can't stay healthy. He's getting bombed out of a club like West Ham. I just do not like this. I don't like it one bit.
Yes, I agree. Füllkrug sucks. Keep him out of here. Like I just said, we have 2 players combined for 80 million euros that are on 0 goals. How do we fix the problem? By loaning in a guy who's older than both of them, who's also on 0 goals? That, like, what?
Yeah.
No. I mean, recall Camarda. That's a better option. At least he's on 1 goal. He's on 1 goal at least.
Yeah, I would do that. It's like, if only we had, someone who could really benefit from minutes in the event that we have a bit of an injury crisis, as we do. We couldn't have foreseen this happening, I don't think. I think it's fair enough that Kamada was allowed to go out on loan in the summer. I don't think any of us were screaming and shouting about him going to Lecce for consistent minutes. Problem is, he's not really getting those consistent minutes anymore. The coach seems to prefer Stulic. And we've got a real problem, in terms of our attacking depth. So as it turns out, he would have probably been better hanging around. Hindsight's 2020, but there is meant to be a meeting between us and Lecce's management, or maybe Kamada's entourage or something, to try and see what to do. But I am 100% in favour of bringing Kamada back rather than signing Füllkrug on a 6-month loan. It doesn't hurt to look to the future sometimes, and I think that would be a valuable opportunity for him. Final thing wanted to mention as well before we fully wrap up. Alexis Salamakers, congratulations on your renewal until 2031. He doubles his salary from 1.5 mil net to 3 mil net per season. Extends from 2027, so it's like 4 extra years compared to his previous deal. Obviously spent last couple of years out on loan at Bologna, out on loan at Roma, comes back. Allegri says, I like the look of him because he's a real two-way player. I think he's been fantastic this season. He's one of the strengths of the new system, and it's a very well-earned renewal.
Yes, 100%. Good for him. I thought he was gone when he went to Bologna on loan. They had the option. I thought he did well there. I thought they were going to activate it. They didn't. Then he went to Roma. I thought he was gone when he went there because, again, he did well. Tammy did decent for us. I thought we were going to make both those deals permanent. He came back, and he's done well again. So, yeah, that's 3 consecutive good seasons. Has a title with us, very clearly wants to be here, loves the club, always gives his all. He may not be a 10 out of 10 player every game, but he's done a damn good job so far, and I'm happy for him. Someone that I didn't have much hope for when we offloaded him, and he is the prime example of turning your career around in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, spot on. Well said.
But yeah.
And you think back, we actually signed him from Anderlecht for 7 million in total. So for all our recruitment model can sometimes get stick, it's like we went for Udogu over getting an experienced centre-back at the end of the summer. Sometimes these gems can come to fruition. It's a reminder that sometimes you do hit on players like that. Salamakers, you might call him a late bloomer or whatever. I think he's just always been a pretty solid Serie A player. And this season he's heading towards being, potentially his best yet. So yeah, well done, Sally. Like to see it. Hopefully there's some more to come on the renewal front. And yeah, that's it. We're back later this week with a bonus episode, which I think we're going to record after the Supercoppa semi, probably.
Yeah, I can do Friday. I can't do Thursday though. So Friday.
Yeah, and then we have got some ideas in mind for over the festive period. There's definitely going to be a Christmas quiz released, so stay tuned for that. And given the fact that we play games over the festive break, we are going to be recapping those as well. So yeah, stay tuned. There's more main pods and bonus pods coming during a pretty hectic Christmas schedule. But yeah, that's it. I've been your host. Find me on X at Ollie Fisher. X, not Twitter. I don't know why I said X. I normally say Twitter.
Yeah, it's all
anyway,
good.
Shifting momentum.
Okay.
AJ, cheers for joining.
Bye, guys. I'll be here
bye.
for the bonus. Might not be on main next week. Depends if we go to the final or not. If we do, I won't be there. If we don't, I'll be there. So, yeah.
There you go. All right. Have a good week, everyone.